by the Turks, and we need to remember that Turkey's main interest in escalating with Russia is to force the issue of safe zones onto the negotiation table. So a bit of act of desperation, really, by Turkey. And so Russia now is clearly bombing assets, trucks that are believed to be carrying weaponry into Syria. They're doing whatever they want to do in that sort of area. So the Turks, it has backfired to them. I don't think they would be able to do it again, especially with the Russian air defenses. We've heard news today that Russian Sukhoi 34s have been equipped with air-to-air missiles. They have this capability. And it seems that Russia is telling Turkey that if you want to do it again, then do it at your peril.
OK, we have to leave it there, but thanks very much for your thoughts. That was Amma Wakaf, a political analyst. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, 1 month before the climate summit being held in Paris, Philippe Verdie, a popular French weatherman, was fired by France's Channel 2. He had published a book claiming that scientists and politicians are generating hype around climate change and making the world needlessly afraid.
Tous les soirs, je m'adresse à 5 millions de Français pour vous parler du vent, des nuages, du soleil. Et pourtant, il y a quelque chose d'important, de très important, que je n'ai pas pu vous dire parce que ce n'est ni le lieu, ni le moment. Nous sommes otages d'un scandale planétaire sur le réchauffement climatique. Une machine de guerre destinée à nous maintenir dans la peur. À la base, il y a les scientifiques manipulés, politisés, des conflits d'intérêts, de la corruption, des scandales sexuels, puis des politiques qui ne servent que leur image et leur soif de pouvoir.
Well, after Verdie was taken off air, he published a video telling his side of the story.
Je suis journaliste, présentateur météo à la télévision. Mon livre, Climat Investigation, est sorti il y a 1 mois. Depuis, je suis interdit d'antenne sur ma propre chaîne.
Philippe Verdie joins us live now from Paris. Good to speak to you this evening. Thanks very much for coming on. Now, just sort of bring us up to date. What was the official reason given by your former television channel for your sacking?
The reason was about my book, because it was released at the beginning of October and I was sacked at the end of the month of October. But the exact reason France Télévisions told me was about my book, not about the investigation, but about the fact that I was presented as journalist in France Télévisions. But every journalist in France Télévisions do the same, so it's a sort of discrimination, and I can believe that's the real reason. The real reason is the revelation in the book were not possible for the government.
When and why did you start to become sceptical about climate change then?
I'm not, in fact, skeptical. That's incredible, because somebody who is skeptical about climate change is somebody who believes that the human presence has no incidence and no problem, no deal, no link with the climate change and global warming. That's not my case. In my book, I write that it's important and we have to deal with. But in the book, there are many hard criticisms about the United Nations, because for 20 years they tried to deal with this problem, with this crisis, and they failed. So my book is really skeptical about the United Nations and the French government to have a success in the COP21 right now in Paris.
But you do believe that many Western nations and scientists overhype the realities of climate change?
Yes, the IPCC is a group of scientists accredited by the United Nations. That's the official way of speaking about the climate change. And when we've got another way, another speech about climate change, even if it's really interesting, people are saying that they are skeptical because it's not official. I don't believe that a science in movement, a real science, can have no depth and cannot have research in other fields in the over the official way. So that's a very very little way of having the view of climate change. And in my book, I've just made interviews about other scientists, and they are saying something very interesting about that. And others were participating in the IPCC report, and they had problem with the IPCC because IPCC decided to change the way of they have been working, and that was a problem for them. So it's the only way to give proof about climate change, and not other way of searching about climate.
And what's your view of the current summit that's taking place in Paris at the moment then? Do you get angry when you hear world leaders talking about climate change?
No, I'm not angry. I was supposed to cover the COP21 for French public television, but because I'm sacked, I cannot do that. And I thanks Russian Today, because for RT in France, in Paris, I can do my job of journalist and have the freedom of speech. And I can cover as I want the COP21. So I will do that thanks to the Russian television.
OK, and just finally, people will be watching this wondering, well, OK, you're saying that we shouldn't be too concerned about climate change, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned should I be about climate change?
Yes, and the problem is there's no real emergency about climate change, even if it's a big and important problem. The only emergency is a diplomatic and political emergency, because the Kyoto Protocol is over, and if the United Nations wants new credits, they need to have a new protocol in Paris. So even if it's a bad protocol, they will have to have a deal.
OK, look, we have to leave it there. We've run out of time, but good to talk to you. That was journalist Philippe Verdie in Paris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Philippe Verdie is covering the UN summit in Paris for RT in France. As he said there, our French-speaking viewers can follow his views online too at rt.com. Up next here on RT International, it's going underground with Afshin Ratansi. If you're watching us in the UK, though, it's London's former mayor, Ken Livingstone.